Okay, it is 6:30. This is the Sutton Finance and Warrant Advisory Committee. We'll start the evening with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so this is a continuation of the public hearing on the warrant, on the budget and the warrant articles, which we started last night. I'm going to, I guess, there's not a lot of members of the public here tonight, but I would encourage all those people that have thoughts and opinions on the budget, on the warrant articles, to we'll have another meeting tomorrow night, and if you want to come and make your voices heard, that would be great, and I would like to hear those. Tonight on our agenda, we're going to hear from the police department, the fire department, the highway department, transfer station. We'll talk about snow and ice, sewer department. And we'll begin with Chief Toll and the police department.
Good evening.
Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us. Everyone has a copy?
Yep. Just got to catch up to you first before we
Okay.
get there. I got page 11. I got on the detail one. Oh, and we got one more.
Posted. Name's down there somewhere, but
And we'll give Pat one of
Okay.
these.
Pick a name, Pat.
Okay. Go ahead, Chief.
So I think you'll see our budget in the usual format.
Yep.
And you've probably noted that the most notable increase comes in the line item that we've labeled as the new police station. And I think that probably deserves a little bit of explanation. To say that these are just estimates would be an understatement. What we did with regard to probably the biggest cost of the building is the heating. So we called around to some similar police stations, one of which was in Wilbraham, and I spoke with the chief out there regarding, his station was built, I want to say last year or the year before, heating costs. So he gave me a rough estimate. Their station's a little bit bigger than ours.
If I'm gonna just pause you for 1 minute and make sure we're all looking at the same
Okay.
page here. So I got the personnel. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so his station was a little bit bigger than ours, and they gave me a estimate of around 14,000. So I kind of just figured we'd go with 12. The contractor who did the design for the HVAC and the heat for the building had a somewhat more accurate projection with regard to our station. There's a lot of differences with our station that were not present in Wilbraham. For instance, like, we have the blown-in insulation, the foam insulation. The furnaces that we have is an ultra-high efficient Baderas furnace, things like that. He came up with a calculation of about $9,600. So I figured between the two, we'd put it in the middle somewhere.
Okay.
And that's the expense you see. The electric bill, I don't know. It's a guess at this point.
Okay.
And, rubbish removal, we've already contracted with somebody, and that's a pretty accurate figure. And the custodian and maintenance, that's pretty much up in the air at this point too. We're trying to have a different couple of ideas on what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it. One of which is perhaps sharing some custodian services with the school, with their staff. And we've also thought of, perhaps using the janitor that works here to do some of the work as well.
So does that, you've got a repairs and maintenance line item here of 23,000.
Oh, that's just for cruises.
That's what,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
New station expense?
right. New station expense is separate.
It's the very bottom of page
It's-
11.
Oh, okay, then I'll go here. I was looking at the other line,
Right here.
yeah.
And then there's detail behind that. So there's 23,000 is not building or?
No.
Okay,
No. We don't anticipate any kind of.
good.
The majority of the equipment that's in there is under warranty and some type of maintenance contract for a year, once we take possession of the building.
Yep.
So for instance, like the furnace and the water heater and things like that, they have a warranty for a year and a maintenance contract. I say a maintenance contract because I'm not really sure what that includes, but that's what I've been told. So I don't know, you would expect that if the things start having problems within a year. Some of the mechanical pieces of equipment are beyond that, but it's all individualized as far as the warranty and whatnot, so. I didn't budget specifically for any type of repair work, because
Yep.
I certainly didn't anticipate that we're gonna have trouble there with the equipment, but you know how things go, so.
Now, with the design, a lot of times the engineers can give you an estimate in their design documents as to what the estimated utilities are.
Yeah,
I don't know if they did that. I will tell you that from experience, they're off,
yeah,
but at least it gives you
Yeah.
what they think based on your equipment, your utilities can be.
right.
You
The
know,
only,
just another reference point.
right, the only thing I did do that was with the heat, and like I said, I think he came up with 9,600. And that was based on kinda like ultra conditions, you know? I think he said it would have to be 0 or, for 2 weeks in a row, and, it was like, just kind of like crazy conditions, which, we had when we first started building the station. I think it was 0 degrees for a week, So hopefully that's an accurate number, and hopefully that doesn't need to be
Is the cost of the actual move down there included in the capital piece?
for the station.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay,
right. And, to put it bluntly, there's probably not much we're gonna move. Some files and our evidence. There's really not a lot of furniture of much worth or anything like that to move down there.
okay.
So we'll be all leaving it for the next tenant in the building.
And what's the official, move in, move out day?
Right now, it's May 15th,
Okay.
which actually looks like it could be a solid date,
Okay.
so.
So as you put some loom around, and
Yeah, well, they've been working on that.
that's
for-
quite a chandelier you have.
Yeah,
hanging in the
I'm
front.
getting mixed reviews on that. I'm not quite sure if I'm real.
Is there a meaning behind it, or is it just?
No, just something that the architect put in there, I'm not 100% sold on it, but, so.
And will there be a picture of the first arrest up on the?
Oh, we're gonna hang them from the chandelier.
So, yeah, we wouldn't anticipate a lot of repairs, I don't think, or anything like that, so we'll see how well that translates to reality next
Right.
year, so.
So,
Okay.
so that's basic, on the expense side, other than that, as is usual.
Can you talk about just the payroll and the switch, the net? You're gonna add a sergeant position?
Right, what we tried, or what we anticipate is, I should preface that with, Lieutenant Perry is planning to retire within the next year. So our thought was, to get another sergeant on board and to kind of, one, learn the ropes of some administrative duties, for the next year or so, and two, to, kind of build the department, with regard to a succession plan.
Yep.
For future vacancies of, either myself or Lieutenant Perry, so.
So you have yourself as the chief, a lieutenant, and 3 sergeants
Right now, yes.
right now.
Yep,
And the goal is in the immediate future to make that 4 sergeants?
correct.
So then you won't have a lieutenant if he retires? Or do you promote?
Well,
from
that's
within?
what we would promote from within, and that
Oh,
would be
okay.
part of the succession plan,
Okay.
so. And you'll note that's an increase as well in the line item, as far as the salary goes. The other salaries are either on the collective bargaining agreement or, you know, the ones that aren't under a collective bargaining agreement would just basically be my secretary and the part-time wages, which is primarily comprised of just part-time dispatchers. So,
Okay.
Matrons, you're not gonna use them, or you're gonna use them?
no, we still use them,
But
but,
don't you have cameras in the cells?
right, but you still need a matron when you have a female arrest.
Oh, you do?
Yes,
Okay.
so.
Are you fully staffed right now?
No, we're actually down 3 officers, which
Okay.
we're in the process now of hiring them, so.
Okay. And what does that do budget-wise when you're down? How do you accommodate that?
You know, it has an effect on our budget, primarily overtime. We can run with two people per shift. Full staff, we have 3 patrol guys per shift. So what it does is just you remove a patrol person from each shift. And, you know, what ends up happening is it creates a slot when somebody takes a day off, a vacation day or whatnot. So now we have to fill that shift,
Okay.
so.
So the sergeants don't patrol?
Oh, yeah, they do.
They do?
Right, so they're part of the roster for regular patrol.
When do you plan on having the new hires?
We actually sent out conditional offers of employment for 2 this week. The challenge to that is, I don't know if you've followed anything in law enforcement, but there's a real issue in hiring personnel for law enforcement nationwide. And it's even worse in Massachusetts because once you hire them, you have to send them to a police academy. And our current academy situation is not very user-friendly. Right now, it's probably, I'm looking at, if I was to hire somebody today, which we have, we're probably thinking the next closest academy would be in either July or August. There's another one that's slated to start in September, but we still haven't got word on that. The one that's starting in July already has a waiting list of approximately 40 people. So, you know, they only have 40 people in a class, so you'd basically have to have the whole class wash out to even, you know, meet the.
So what do you do? I mean, can you start to train them, or the state won't let them be patrolmen until they've graduated from the academy?
Right. To answer your question, yes, we can start to train them. And no, depending on their level of background, if they've had what they call a part-time academy, which is about, I don't know, I think it's 400 hours now of training, they can work in a part-time capacity. You can work them on a waiver for up to a year. So with 2 of these candidates, that would be my intention on one of them. And the other one that does not have that part-time academy. So it's probably our plan to like put him in a different role in the police department where we can just train him, things that we would have to do anyway. And, you know, we would get some use out of that until we can get him into an academy spot.
So that speaks to robbing one from a neighboring town or city?
Yeah,
'Cause
well.
then you don't have to train them.
It's interesting because I'm not going to mention names, but when we had the hiring process, I had a community who was not too far from here. The chief called me and said, "Hey, can I have all your seconds that you didn't pick?" So that's the current state of affairs. And, you know, I don't know why, but if you read any of the police periodicals or everything, you know, it's like, I read one last week in Seattle, they're thinking of offering like bonuses, like sign-on bonuses, a couple of $1,000s, and just try to attract some people.
So do we, I'm assuming that when someone goes to the academy, there's a cost.
Right.
So is that in here?
No. The cost of the academy is usually just their
Their time?
time.
So there's no tuition?
Right. So, well, there is, but what I anticipated is, we recently filed legislation, and I say we, the Mass Chiefs of Police filed legislation to put a, not a tax, but a fee on rental cars. So we get $1 or $2 per rental car in the state of Massachusetts. And they anticipate that is supposed to be somewhere between $5 and $7 million that it would generate. And what they would do with that money is, it's specifically earmarked for police and public safety training. So my thought is, this legislation's been passed, it's supposed to start in July, or they've already started collecting it, but the money is supposed to be generated and available in July. And I've been told that they're gonna use that money to pay the normal fee that municipalities would normally have to pay for academies. So it's a gamble, but I think it's a pretty good gamble, so I didn't budget for it.
In the capital items, there's two.
There's two.
Yeah.
And that, and I spoke with Jim Smith today about that. To give you an example, today, they came out with new police cruisers, which no one really, that we knew, obviously they come out with new cruisers every year, but they redesigned a lot of the cruisers for 2020. So with that said, the majority of our equipment will not fit it, and the price of the cruiser itself went up. So to give you an example, I just bought 2 police cruisers for this year out of FY19, and we're supposed to get them in June or July. Well, invoiced in July, I should say. Hopefully we'll have them before. So we got 2 quotes for the cars. The quote was the newer model, which we could probably get sometime in July or August, was a 2020 model. It was, for 2 of them, it was over $100,000. And we ended up, by luck, because we acted early on this earlier in the year, we had saved 2 leftovers, which we got for approximately about $87,000. So we anticipate a large increase in the cost for cruises. And I just tell you that for the next time around.
Yep.
You know, we're probably gonna be up over $100,000 if we buy 2 cruises.
And are these the Explorer type, or these?
Right, those
Yeah.
are the only ones available right now. They've done away with the sedan. So if you buy a Ford, which, you know, we even looked into buying a Dodge or even buying a Chevy, if you're buying a Ford, you have the Police Utility Explorer, and that's the only one available.
Okay.
And, you know, as far as personnel and wages go, it's pretty much standard budget, and it's by collective bargaining
And what's
agreement.
the solar school zone signs in the capital plan?
Yeah, those are signs to replace the current speed limit signs out there that function periodically. So the thought is that Mike McGee, the SRO, put that capital request in,
Okay,
and we're gonna replace them.
good. Sounds like you need them, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we need them. The town needs them. You know, I don't know how we ended up with it in our budget, but, you know, that's fine.
Okay.
So,
I like the new stop signs by the police station.
yeah,
They have the red,
yeah.
no
So-
saying I didn't see the stop sign.
Yeah, well, I'm sure someone will have a,
Now, are those solar powered or?
they are,
They are.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm just curious, why is I mean, we need them and the town's gonna pay for them, so that's the bottom line, but why are you charging them to the police when isn't that DPW? Jim?
Well, the fact is Mike McGee came in and made the capital request to me as the SRO down at the school, so I just put it in the police department budget.
Yeah.
It's needed, I'm not arguing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all coming out of the same
it's-
fund. It's just,
Yeah, it's
you know,
one
it
box
was,
to the
it
other.
was a sticking point for Officer McGee that they didn't function the way they should.
Okay,
And,
good for him.
yeah, he took the charge and,
Wanted to give him credit.
yeah, right. So,
And for those that don't know, SRO is the school resource
Right.
officer.
right.
Acronyms.
You all set, Bob?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay. Any other- Okay, thanks, chief.
Good?
Thank
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, enjoy the station.
Thank you.
So the opening will be sometime in May, mid-May.
Yeah, well, right now, we have a solid date of the 15th. We're trying to get the 911 cut over, first week in May or somewhere like that, so. yeah.
When's your open, are you planning an open house?
We are,
Probably the first or second week in June.
June.
Okay.
Yep. We need a couple of weeks just to get used to the building.
Yeah, so find your way around.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, so, yeah, there's plenty of us that know their way around there now.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
And next to the fire department and Chief Belcedo. And you're getting a new vehicle this
Yep.
year, so we can talk
Hopefully.
about that, yeah. So we'll talk about that after, maybe talk about the, just the operating budget first.
Okay.
We'll go through that a little bit. and-
Sure.
And Jim, I think, talked yesterday, or last night about, a little bit about the overtime and kind of trying to budget what hopefully will be a realistic figure. So I see that is kind of a little higher than it was a year ago, but not as high as what the initial request was.
We had one of the full-timers that was out half the year on sick leave,
Okay.
so that can, the issue is every year we get busier and busier, and, we don't have a crystal ball, so when the full-timers come back, it's that time and a half.
Yeah.
So we were 17% over call volume for the previous year, so,
Okay. All right.
Do you have any understanding of the reason for that increase? Is it other local departments ended up reducing their staff that
No one's
impacted the
reducing
call out
it.
to you?
No, it's, it's just, like anyone else, it's give and take. I mean, you're referring to mutual aid, and, when we need mutual aid, they're here for us, no questions asked, and we'll be there for them. I mean, we do go mutual aid quite a bit. But again, it's, like Chief said, like, even the call retention's tough. And to recruit new guys or new women members, it's very tough. The part-time academy for the fire department, for call guys is 260 hours plus first responder training, which is another 120. And it's 3 nights, it's Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 6 to 10, and it's all day Saturday or an all day Sunday. So for 6 months. So to give up that kind of time, a husband and wife nowadays, if they just get married, they're both working. Then if they have young kids and they're doing sports, it's tough. The demands are tough. There's no more, if you're strictly 100% volunteer or call, the state mandates that you have to go to the part-time academy. And there's 5 other trainings that the state mandates that you must have within the course of a year. Obviously, CPR, first responder, hazmat, that's all additional. It's tough. I mean, for a husband and wife, for one of them to juggle a family, full-time job, the kids, and then commit to 260-plus hours on top of it. Everyone's in the same, we went mutual aid to Millbury yesterday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When we first doing truck had 2 guys on it, work and structure fire. Everyone's in the same boat, so I mean, it's give and take. I know if I call, they're gonna be there to have our back. I mean, if you remember a couple years ago, we had the barn right over here. I had 10 tankers, but that's, we had 2 of them. There was 8 towns mutual aid in, and, they come no questions asked, so, it's give and take.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think those are important metrics, though, for the community to hear, the demands on your department in terms of, what you're answering to and what your goals are and the difficulties and the struggles. I think those are important things for the town to hear.
Oh, it's a constant battle, but rest assured you're in good hands.
Well, for better or worse, we take you for granted. So,
A lot of
That-
people, honestly, not by, not by any fault of them, they don't really understand exactly what we do until they pick up the phone and call 911.
absolutely. All right. So I just had minor things on the budget. The electricity, for some reason, and it was more probably a question from last year, we're at 7,000.
Well.
That looked like an aberration.
The manager entered in to that other agreement, so, which picks up Station 3.
Okay.
And we have solar panels on Station 2. So I like to see every month 0 bills for Station 2 and Station 3. Sometimes that don't work.
Yep.
But it's pretty close to 0, so we definitely, we can, that's why that, and that's doable.
Okay. Other questions on the
Can you, just for my edification, code red?
Yeah, that's the alerting system in case anything goes wrong, or, we can use it for however we would like, if,
Just the phone call that comes?
yeah,
Okay.
it's like,
No,
it's
I-
basically
I-
a reverse 911, but it's
I know what
code
it is,
red.
I just didn't know the name.
Okay, and can we just talk a little bit about the engine, replacing engine 3?
Sure.
That's a big number.
Well, if you remember, it's coming up on 5 years, engine 2 was 750,000. You heard Chief Toll say about a cruiser. A cruiser's just a car. Imagine a fire truck. It's gonna come in, I was talking to the guy, we're gonna probably be around 823 for the engine. In 5 years, if you really think about it, it is a lot of money. I'm not gonna deny that. But for a fire engine to go, it's gonna end up $70,000, $75,000 in 5 years. If you break it down, and that's a 30-year piece of equipment. Cruisers you're replacing every 3 to 5 years.
Right.
You're getting a 30-year piece of equipment.
So this, what you're replacing, actually, I think I saw it on one of the meetings, was it 1986?
Yeah, it's a 35-year-old truck.
Yeah. And how many, do you measure it in miles or hours or?
No, it doesn't get a lot of miles. It gets a lot of engine time because of pump.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's a Ford cab and chassis with an FMC pump. The company's out of business. If something goes wrong, you got to try to find a what do they call those shops to fabricate
Machine shop.
machine shop
Yeah.
to fabricate parts.
Yeah. What are you gonna do with the old one?
I believe put it on municipal bid. Believe it or not, we were quite successful with the other ones. Sand and gravel companies want them to wet the roads down. Fire truck enthusiasts, they like them, they buy them, they take them to parades. Your town administrator, previous town administrator, he runs a whole website on that. Michael Boynton, massfiretrucks.com.
Good to know.
How much do you suppose it's worth?
I think we got like 3,000 for the last one.
Yeah, I would say for this one, probably $3,000 to $5,000.
We'll keep our eyes out at jimsmith.com and see what we.
Depreciation.
No website yet.
Now, the new one coming, when?
Probably after we sign the contract, you're probably looking at close to a year.
That long?
Really?
Now, the 80,000 or 80,000 plus, is that fully equipped, or now we start getting into?
There'll be some loose. No, that's what I need to get that truck in service. We're gonna reuse a lot of equipment. Every axe isn't brand new. Every pike pole isn't brand new. So
Okay.
we'll be reusing a lot of the equipment.
So when you sell a truck, it's basically
It's stripped.
stripped, okay.
Oh, there'll be no
words.
equipment on there.
Yeah, okay. Good.
I guess just one other point for all of us and the public to recognize is that the funding for this is coming from the capital stabilization plan. We're not doing a debt exclusion or anything like that, which is great.
Which is good.
So,
Now, if you notice that, I put a thing in do you have the capital?
yep.
In that figure, I don't know, I believe you 853, is that what you got for a figure?
825.
Oh, okay, you cut the original?
No, I didn't. I think that's what,
I don't think he put it in.
we'll have to talk about that, because that was
Yeah.
so.
'Cause well,
You may have updated it since we got this.
30,000 in for renovations to the old police station, so.
That's in there,
Yeah, that's in there.
850.
you put it a separate line item?
There's a separate line item for the renovations,
Yeah,
yeah.
for the suites, Yeah, and the saunas, and,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all gonna be
He's
over
gonna
here.
leave you all the, you know,
The f-
He's
Chief,
gonna
he's
leave
gonna
you
spread it
those
on you.
desks
Yeah,
and the
I-
chairs
yeah.
are comfy.
They're supposed to be really nice.
That was really nice of him, huh, the previous chief, the chief before me, that he, really no usable stuff, we, you know, I can, the fire department can, but it's really not usable. I think I may put him in one of the cells, just for,
We were speechless.
I was gonna trip him on his way out. But I didn't want him to get hurt.
Can I ask
Again.
I have a
You
couple of
absolutely
questions,
can.
actually. Number one is, what do you anticipate being the future of vehicles you would need to replace? I mean, how long from now do you anticipate the next one would be?
The next big purchase would probably be the rescue, and you're probably looking at 6 years.
6 years from now? Okay. I know we've had a few vehicles come down the pike, not too long, in the past year.
Well, don't forget now, when you bought those 3 engines, the town bought them all at once. They bought them, I remember distinctly, even though I was in Millbury, they bought them on a leased purchase program, and they took delivery of them all at once, because you replaced the international tankers that you had.
Okay.
So I mean, that's a huge problem. That's why we decided we're gonna go on a 5-6 year plan to stagger them out. Because, to be honest with you, we went a little bit too long, but I totally understand. But now whoever down the road, we'll all be long, well, hopefully alive, but probably retired from when they need to replace engines again in this town. It's not gonna be all at once.
And my second question is, I'm a novice at buying, municipal vehicles. I haven't done it. So is there any, when we buy vehicles, sometimes we buy used. Is that a possibility?
I believe you inherit someone else's problems. And these trucks are so technical, and they just can get more technical as technology. And to be honest with you, I try to stay away from the computerized stuff as much as I can. And I can assure you that I really take my time to spec a truck out. I personally wouldn't recommend that for anyone, because I believe you're inheriting someone else's problems, which down the road is gonna cost you in the long run. The only way I would personally and professionally recommend that if it's a Band-Aid approach to get you by for a year or two.
What kind of warranty do you have on these?
All different. I mean, the manufacturer of the motor is 5 years. Paint and rust on the bodies are 10. But I mean, they're very good. Believe it or not, is anywhere between 3 to 5 years.
Okay. And I think we may have interrupted you when you started to talk about the renovations of the.
Well, obviously we got to do some renovations.
Right, and what's gonna move in there, and what's gonna happen to the old space?
Well, the old space will go to the back half where my offices and stuff will be the EMS bedroom. Move them out of the cellar.
Yeah.
And give them more area. We'd remove the jail cells over there, which is probably going to be quite a bit of. We're going to try to do as much work as we can.
Yep.
I got really good people, staff full timers. We're going to do as much as we can, but we're going to need some outside help. We're going to make an offices. We're finally going to have a kitchen area. If you come and visit us at any lunchtime, we're standing at the counter where you walk in having lunch. Our food's out on the table. People walk in to get a permit. That's what we have to work with. So, we're going to have a place where we can sit down and eat lunch. And I'd say the biggest and the most important thing for the town is you're going to have the EOC, which is the Emergency Operating Center. You're going to have a backup dispatch console right there. That's staying there. We're going to do some upgrades to that to make it compliant with the news station and be able to talk back and forth. But that's huge to have a secondary dispatch center if anything was to go, any big event, storm or whatever, or just to have a backup console. Every town has one. Millbury has one. Grafton has one. Northridge has one. So I think that's really the meat and potatoes and of why myself, Chief Toll, and the town manager, Jim Smith, when we discussed it, is, and those have to be secured areas. The security is going to stay the same. People are not going to be able to walk behind there, unless you're a town official.
Yep. Good. Okay. Anything else for Chief?
No.
That's good. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And
it.
I want to thank you for Renee. She came to the Lions Club to explain, CPR and where we're gonna go with that. She did a nice job.
Yeah, we're trying to,
I told her I was glad you weren't there.
why?
She's better to look at and listen to.
Wow. Wow.
I didn't agree, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're hoping, well, not
You were out
hoping.
fighting brush fires.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we were in Uxbridge.
Yeah, you were.
That's one thing you guys are gonna, well, the community's gonna see. I sent Jeff and Renee to get certified CPR instructors. So I would like, our goal is to run a class for the community, 1 a quarter, and partner up with the Lions Club and also the Dudley Genren, and do their, host classes there and do, some more community outreach.
Good.
That's my goal. I want to get visible in the community. The community supports us. That's my goal for 2020, 2019, is get more visible in the community and do more community service. So that's going to be an addition. I think it's going to be a huge addition, and I think the community really going to take advantage of it. So, we'll be able to do like 25 per class. So, so it's, I'm hoping that
Good.
people take advantage of it.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, and next is Highway Department, Snow and Ice, and Transfer Station, and Matt Stencil. Welcome. I'm kind of disappointed with you, not with you, with you being here, that we don't have more people from the public here to talk about things, because you hear so much, and I'd like to hear actual voices.
Fix that pothole.
Talk about that, so that, but, so it's disappointing in that sense, that we don't have more people here to talk about us, but, and I don't mean that as a criticism, just mean it as a view. I just wish more people were here, and hope, maybe they're all at home. I'm sure they're watching this and they're not watching the Bruins
No.
at all.
No,
Because it's Game 7, it doesn't really matter.
7:07.
Or the Red Sox.
The who?
Yeah. So, thanks for coming in. If you'd hold on one second, just so we can get to the page. Does anyone have-
Page 7?
You're on the summary one. What about-
17,
17.
detail.
17 is the
17
detail.
is the detail.
17.
Okay.
Yes, transfer station.
So how do you follow that up, man?
I'm just waiting for questions.
So about those potholes. So, well, maybe we talk about that. So we have a capital item in there to repave Central Turnpike from somewhere near Fuller Road,
Hopefully Fuller Road to roughly the 146.
146.
But depends on what the bids come in at, and that's my estimate of what we'll be able to get done. I'm hoping to get a little bit more done, but
Okay.
because it's kind of a conservative estimate, but I'm hoping that, we're gonna spend that 600 and potentially a little bit of Chapter 90 money if we need to get it, to get a little bit more out of it.
Yeah. Is the price of all that, it's a petroleum-based product?
It's been,
So is it
it's been stable
tied
the
to
last
oil?
few years.
Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's tied to oil, and what is it, 8 or 10 years ago, we had escalation clauses in the contract and stuff like that, and it's kind of leveled out a little bit in the last 8 years or whatever, so.
Okay.
But it will, if something goes crazy with the oil industry, it'll affect the liquid asphalt price, so.
Okay. And the estimate that we have right now in the capital plan,
600?
600,000.
Yeah, that was, like I say, I estimated from reconstruction, which is, pulverizing it into itself, from roughly 146, so where the state, leaves off to Fuller Road,
Okay.
and then, repaving it.
How long is the actual process?
Well, hopefully it would be, like a week,
Okay.
ideally, it would all be one contract, there'd be a couple different subcontractors probably working on it, different people that do different, do different things, but, we'd have to keep the road open, it's just,
Yeah.
it's not a road that we can,
Right.
avoid, and people need to get to their houses and everything, so it would be like a half and half type of a thing.
Mhm.
And then once they pulverize it, they grade it and roll it, so it might be dirt, it might be gravel for
Sure,
a
yeah,
portion,
yeah.
traveling on gravel for a little bit, and
Yeah,
then it would be traveling on a base for a day or whatever, and then eventually topped, so.
okay.
And when are you looking at doing this?
As soon as we can, as soon as we get someone in there. We don't have the money yet, so we're still doing some investigative engineering work to see what, we're drilling some holes out there Thursday or Friday, I think, drilling some cores to see what's there and figure out what we're gonna put back exactly, and, but yeah, as soon as we can, but of course, it depends on who gets the contract and when we can get them in, to get it done.
Okay. And I'll talk to him first, and then we'll recognize you. What, is this an unusual year, or is it just we're hearing more people talk about potholes?
Well,
I mean, because, we see them every year, but
It was a tough
this.
year because of the rain that we got. The rain is more to blame than anything else. If it's cold and there's a lot of snow and a lot of just plowing,
Yep.
you don't run into nearly as many potholes. It's the freeze and thaw that gets in the cracks and breaks everything. And almost every storm we had either started or ended or both as rain. So it ends up costing a lot more salt and less plowing, more salting, and
Yeah.
a lot more potholes.
Okay.
And then it stayed wet too, a lot in between. So a lot of repairs that we made because we had to make them, we knew weren't permanent because there's water in the hole, there's snow in the, ice.
Sure.
It was just slush in the hole, like you say, the colder winters are actually better. Where you just have snow. It doesn't matter if you have, 90 inches of snow, if there's no rain in there, no melting, thawing process,
Right.
process. Well, we had pretty warm winter, There's a lot of warm weather that this gets in there,
Right.
and like I said, it was even wet trying to fix it. We didn't have very many dry days until the winter was over to actually put down patches that we thought would last.
Yep.
Because, we still have to do it to try to keep things, but if it's wet, nothing's gonna stay, patched.
Right, okay. So we do have a question. If you just come up and just identify yourself and.
Yeah, my name is William Mullen. I live at 650 Central Turnpike. And the question I have is, so they're gonna, from what I'm hearing is it's gonna.
Could I ask you to come up to the microphone so people will, I'm sorry about that, yeah. That seat's a little warm, it gets warm. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, my question is, from what I understand, this is budgeted money, and they're gonna start at Fuller Road, and then they're gonna go to 146. I travel that road all the time, obviously, because I live in 650 Central Turnpike. So I understand totally that portion of the road is really a mess. But attended several meetings on this rezoning that's going to be happening, or is being discussed and is going to be voted on for West Sutton Village. And my question is, why can't we just do the whole road? I mean, number one, why can't we just do the whole road? Because where I live, my house is adjacent to Douglas Road. You turn Douglas Road to go up to Whittier Farm. My house is the one. My wife leaves the light on every night, so the cars coming back down see it, and they know to stop. So that's where I live. But that road's getting chewed up pretty badly too. Right now, and that's right in the heart of where the rezoning of West Sutton Village to go to C1 is going to happen, and traffic is going to increase. Traffic is increasing the whole length of Central Turnpike. So my question is, what happen? What's going to happen future planning if we're going to do Full Road down to 146? What are the plans to do the rest of Central Turnpike, and especially in light of the rezoning? Cars aren't slowing down.
Right.
Can tell you that. I can't even pull out of my driveway. The West Sutton, where you turn to go down, is it West Sutton now?
Sutton Road, yeah.
Sutton Road,
right.
yep.
Right there, that's approximately 500 yards, probably from my house.
Yep.
and as traffic comes up that road, you know, you gotta sit and you're waiting for the traffic, cause you gotta wait.
Yep.
But then it seems like it's a game. Like, you know, soon as see all the traffic clear on 146 and you can't see the West Sutton Road and people pull out. And this honest to God, this time I've waited 15 minutes to get out of my own driveway.
Yeah.
Because traffic comes up and then the next car comes up West Sutton Road, and then traffic comes up and the next Sutton Road. And I even had a case where it was a person with Missouri plates. I pulled out there was no cars coming. He pulled out of West Sutton Road, and he was like flooring it. I thought he was trying to create a new model car. And so my question, that's why I'm concerned with all this, is the road's getting chewed up, it's getting used more, speed hasn't slowed down, and to me, speed and, you know, truck traffic also hasn't slowed down. If anything, it's getting
So yeah, I think,
worse.
so we should talk about this. I know that, and I'm gonna let Matt talk about that in terms of how these things are prioritized. But I know that it comes down to funding, a lot of it, because it is expensive, and that's, you know, it's $600,000 for whatever stretch of
1.1 miles,
for
yeah.
a mile.
So more than triple that, so if you want to give me 2 million, we'll do the whole thing.
Well,
So there is that, and how do we fund that? You know, there was a warrant article last year to attempt to do that. That was defeated. So we're kind of dealing with the available funds. So right now we're trying to do this through the capital stabilization fund, which won't result in additional taxes to the residents, which is great. But how it gets prioritized and what's next, because we can't do it all because we don't have the funding for it. How first of all was that section selected, and what?
Well, that's been at the top of our list for a couple of years, but the price tag was just too high. I mean, we have a list, we have a program that we rank all the roads and list any of the services that could, you know, help improve our rankings. And we can't go by the list if we have 450,000 in Chapter 90, and the first thing on the list is, you know, Central Turnpike 1.8 million. So, you know, obviously we can't do that. So we try to pick off some other things that we can, you know, improve on. So now that's why Jim came up with the plan to, you know, we'll get
fund
some
that.
from the Capital Stabilization Fund to try to get that section. And then we'll work on getting the rest, I guess. Like I said, we do have some Chapter 90 money that I'm hoping to not have to use, but maybe we can stretch it a little bit further. We're certainly not gonna get to Oxford with it, but,
But the Chapter 90 money is used for the roads as opposed to equipment, just to make that clear.
Yeah,
That's what we're using it for.
and it's about $450,000 that we
Right.
get, and like I said, that just doesn't get you very far, and, you know, we do like to moving around to different areas and.
How do you prioritize what you're gonna, like, what's next after that section of Central Turnpike?
Well, I don't have my list with me, but I have a, you know, a management plan that it ranks things and ranks them by cost benefit value, which ones, you know, it might come up and say that, you know, Douglas Road needs crack sealing. And for $800, that would be a good value, so that might be near the top of the list. It's not always the worst one. If you go after the worst one, then you're kind of just throwing money away because all of your other good ones are just falling behind. So something you could have crack sealed for $1,200 didn't get anything this year, next year, now it's too late to crack seal it because, you know what I mean, it's in worse shape. So we try to spread out different things, you know, chip seals and things like that, and, you know, minimum overlays without reconstruction that we can do before. If you do want to spend all your money on reconstructing the worst roads, you'll, like you say, it's $600,000 for a mile, so.
And I think that's an important thing for people to hear, is, you know, we're talking about 1 mile for $600,000. And you
Right.
get 450 in Chapter 90 money on an annual basis.
Right, usually that's
That
it.
doesn't go far. And the number, I'm assuming you know roughly how many miles of roads we have?
95, 97, somewhere around there.
So-
Yeah, we need, I've got it relatively well figured out, we need to spend about 800,000 for our cumulative score not to drop.
Right. So I think those are important things for the public
Or else
to
our
hear.
cumulative score of all the roads, once they get scored and then rescored after we do some work this summer, if we don't spend 800, which this year, if we get that 600 plus the, chapter 90, we'll probably make a slight tick up in our overall ranking. But if you're just spending the 450 on chapter 90, you're falling behind.
Okay.
Hey, just, either a question, it could be formed as a question or a point, is that, is the repaving as it stands now from Fuller Road to 146. Question number one is, what's the anticipation of how long that will last? You know, how good will, how,
Hopefully 20 years is what the
20
estimate
years.
is,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
For reconstruction, for, pulverizing the road and regrading it and then putting down the base and the top.
Okay, so
That's-
it's not a Band-Aid fix then, it's a
No.
20-year plan.
Yep.
So would that open it up for a forward-looking years that more capitalization money could be used in the future to do the other portion of Central Turnpike?
Potentially.
Well, what is the plan there? Because the road is deteriorating. It's not deteriorating as bad as it is from
This
Fuller
is,
Road
this is the,
down.
this is the question. I mean, there's the need for the roads, clearly. We've got a capital stabilization fund, but we also, we have to buy a fire engine and all those different things all the different priorities. So this was, I think, for now, in my opinion, the best solution in terms of addressing the worst and most visible road, I think, in town.
Right, as far as, and that comes into play too, and how much its road is used, it's all part of our equation, but yeah, that's why, another reason why that one's at the top of the list is not just because of the condition, it's because of the use.
I mean, this
it
is
gets
a-
the most use.
And the thing is, this was a well-attended town meeting that decided that we didn't want to spend, a little bit more money to maintain these, and this is where what we're dealing with, and unfortunately,
And
I'm not
it-
saying right or wrong or anything, that's just how the town kind of spoke
Yeah,
on that.
I mean, like I said, the road is at the time that the vote was, and they decided that this was the portion of Central Turnpike. At that time, the other portion of Central Turnpike, the West Sutton Village part of the Turnpike, probably wasn't in that bad a shape.
Yep.
Well, all I'm saying is it's getting
Yep.
worse by the day. It's like, I mean, trucks, I know we've had conversations in some of our West Sutton rezoning, right? We
Right.
met at the
Right,
Congregational
but
Church.
Unfortunately, there's 90 other miles that are,
Yeah,
suffering
I
the
got you.
same fate,
No,
so
no, I
they're
got
all,
you.
everything's getting
So-
a year older, so.
Yeah.
So, duly noted, and it's an issue that, we all recognize, and it's, in my view, in terms of where we are right now, and I think the plan is of addressing Central Turnpike as the immediate need is a good one, and it was done without an additional tax.
So I'm gonna leave it this, so from from Fuller Road to 146, how many X miles?
I think it's 1.1 miles.
1.1 mile. So do we know how far from Fuller Road to, let's say, the Oxford Town line, right there, up past the West Sutton Villages?
It's
What's
probably
that?
another 3.5 miles, I think.
That's 3.5 miles?
The whole road's like 6.2, so from Northbridge to Oxford, so
Okay.
it's a long
Alright.
way, yeah. And we're going actually from 146 to Fuller Road. I like to say it that way because we're hopefully gonna get past Fuller Road.
Yeah.
And beyond, but like I say, that's with some, some luck in the bidding and stuff and, good pricing on the asphalt and everything. Hopefully we're gonna get beyond that. That's just where we took to give our estimate, and hopefully that's where we're going, but hopefully we're gonna get, a little bit more if we get some good prices.
I appreciate you coming in and expressing your
Thank you for the time.
voice.
So I guess one, two comments. Like, first of all, thank you for prioritizing the road, which ones need to be done. I think that is something the public may not know when they talk about potholes and they see a pothole in their neighborhood or in traveling, but you're doing that. You're doing it. So for me,
Yeah.
first hearing this, I'm happy to hear that. And I think my second comment to Mr. Bonan's comment is, you know, there's some heavily traveled roads, Central Turnpike is, I mean,
Yes.
you know, it's no accident seeing 18-wheelers and the number of vehicles that come down Central Turnpike specifically, that it's in the shape it's in, from
Yeah, oh,
one
yeah.
town line to the next. And people coming down that hill in West Sutton, you know, is, you know, it's becoming a dangerous issue.
Yeah, oh, it is, yeah. And, yeah, us paving things isn't gonna help, so.
No, I mean, it's
I mean,
definitely,
with the speed anyways, it's not,
the speed is.
It'll increase the speed.
yeah, it's not gonna
People
help,
will
you
feel more
know,
comfortable.
the work we do, but, I mean, it needs to be done, but the speed problem's not gonna go away.
No, it's a semi-public safety issue, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, they'll be right there, so,
Good,
the new station, so.
good. Thank you.
So, Matt, just the $600,000 or the $600,000 cost, that's subs, material?
Yeah, that's pretty much everything.
But that's not your employees right now, current employees working on that, because they're
No.
within the operating budget. We're not,
Yeah, no, that's
Not double
a
counting anymore.
contracted out job. They'll come in with their equipment and,
okay,
you know, and do everything.
all right.
Transfer station?
Anyone else on the highway department?
Yeah,
Questions? Yeah, go for it.
number 12, dump, what does that vehicle do?
Oh,
On the capital plan.
On the capital plan, number 12 is, it's a 5-ton dump truck, a big six-wheeler with a sander and a plow. It hasn't really been used as a six-wheeler the last couple of years. I mean, as a dump truck, because it's just, we need it to work as a sander and a plow, so it really hasn't gone out a lot the last couple of years, beyond that. So right now, it's basically a sander and a plow. Once we get it and it's a newer dump truck, well, then you'll see it around town all the time, because it'll be able to do that. But now it's kind of in the back of the line as the oldest truck, then we don't want to wreck it in the summertime and not have it in the wintertime. So as they get older, they start to get less use in the rest of the season, and kind of become snow trucks. But we do need it as could use it as a dump truck. It's just, but it's a 1997, and it's just time. It did great this year, so it, probably go about 2,500 miles in the winter, just like I say, just working, sanding, salting, plowing. And then that's mostly all that it has done the last couple of years, and it's held together okay. We didn't have any major, but at some point you run into expenses that you don't want to spend. You don't want to spend 14 grand on a transmission on a 23-year-old truck. So
Yeah, thank you.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Can I, at least can the public, or at least myself, and I hope I represent the public, I'm as disappointed as you are that there isn't like more people here, because,
You hear about?
you hear about
You
it,
hear
but
about
then
it, but-
nobody wants to come and
Right.
like voice opinion. My question is, I want to try to understand the clarity, is highway signs, is that under the police budget, or is that under the highway budget?
The signs themselves?
The signs, the speed signs, the speed zone signs to replace, but, because some of our meetings we had with the abutters to the West Central, the West Sutton Village rezoning, some of that was a concern of where the speed signs are located. Maybe some relocation of the speed signs will help slow down some of the traffic. So that's my question is, under what department does the highway signs?
we have
Is
that.
the highway department, or
We
is
have
that
that,
the
yep.
police? I know the police enforce the speed limit,
Yep.
so, there's a.
Well, we
budget
have a
for-
budget for that, and the town planner actually asked me about replacing some signs out there, and we'll probably be doing that after July, because we spent all of our street
Yeah,
sign money for this year,
well,
but
yeah, replacing them, but maybe not just relocating them.
she did mention that, yeah, she did
Oh.
mention, she has a plan of us to
Okay, so that's
put them
under
in a
the
couple of
highway
spots that
department.
are,
Right,
yeah, that are
exactly.
supposedly better, but we just need to wait till our new budget in July, because we spent all our street sign
Okay.
budget, but I told her that we would replace some of those, replace and, maneuver to better more visible situations. We usually do
Yeah.
put new speeds, whenever we pave anything, we usually put new speed signs because they're brighter. They weren't reflective, a lot of the old signs weren't reflective, so we try to replace them anytime we're working on a road with the new reflective, especially when we're doing work, like in a neighborhood or, we put the children slow or whatever it says, and new 30 miles an hour or whatever it needs to
Yeah,
be,
because
so.
on the opposite side.
But she asked me about that, that's on our list, of things to
Because
do.
on the opposite, just a thing I highlight, on the opposite side of the street, and I don't know the streets, names of the streets, I apologize, but you go down and you take a right, and it goes down to Sutton Falls, and I don't know
Yeah,
what that road
Manchog
is.
Road.
Okay, just past that road, coming back, going towards Oxford, is a speed sign that says 40 miles an hour. Before that West Sutton Road intersection just before that
Yep.
is, I think it's just before the property of 636 Central Turnpike, is a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. Now, that's about the same distance from where the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, now coming from Oxford down, it's 35, and it's probably about the same distance, or actually, the 40 mile, what I'm trying to say is, one direction says 40 miles an hour this way, and then then the other sign up the way,
So-
past the Congregational Church, says 35 mile an hour is coming down. So someone who's coming up feels as though 40 miles an hour is the speed limit, when really, it should be 35 there, because you got two intersections.
So, just for purposes of this here tonight, I think I'm gonna direct you to those questions that,
Yeah,
Matt can
Jen-
hit, and it doesn't have, I mean.
Yeah, Jen and I have
Well,
already
yeah,
worked
but
on
you're
the
gonna-
Yes.
plan, yeah.
Because
Perfect.
something,
Yep.
something said, it was said, it came out in the meeting, yeah, something's gotta be done. And nothing has been done yet, but now I understand, it'll be July, but it's in the works.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
Perfect,
okay.
yep, thank you. Okay. Transfer department, station. So,
There's not much there.
well, I mean, I had there's a number there, it says general expenses of 10,870 with a zero from all the prior years.
Oh, that was something from 2008, I guess.
Yeah, is there something wrong with
Yeah,
that?
I think the header on
I
both
don't-
this and the sewer department,
Yeah.
it says 2008, I'm assuming it means,
Yeah, that just carried over, that's just a formatting issue
Yeah,
that I
right.
had, sorry about that.
yeah, no. But that's this year, that's the budget number, yeah.
FY 20 is proposed.
Pat?
No, with everything happening down here,
Wait, we got,
Go ahead.
Pat's got
Go
the
ahead.
question.
Go ahead,
no, are we gonna eventually have to increase the pricing?
there you
Because
go.
it's costing you
Yeah.
more and more money to
Well,
dispose of this.
yeah, I think that's gonna happen at some point, and Jim and Tim have been talking about that, and Dave just got some numbers together, which I believe he delivered to them on, some of the costs that, not just, the day-to-day costs, but some of the capital costs that we like to keep, because we do have a revolving account, which kinda seems like it has a good amount of money in it, but we wanna know what we need to have in that. Some of the stuff is from when they opened, some of the compactors are from, what, it was 20 years ago more that, the place opened. Some of the cans we've replaced in the last couple of years, but Dave's been working with Jim and Tim to try to figure out exactly how much needs to be in that pod in case a couple of the compactors, break, a couple of the motors blow, what do these things cost? So we have those costs now, and they've just been going over that and trying to figure out if and when we, have to change, but everything, as you know, goes up, so. And the markets of recycling has been very crazy lately, because I'm sure everybody heard sort of what happened in China. They
Right.
used to take a lot of recycling from us, and then they decided not to one day, and so they stopped. So the market's been tougher. We've been paying a little bit more for things. we've been doing pretty good because we have a good setup there, whoever set it up originally, a good physical setup and good separation by the residents, so that some of our stuff is still decent quality, like our paper and our cardboard. Because if it's not high quality, then you're gonna be paying for disposal. And we've been, not necessarily getting paid, maybe getting paid a little, but at least disposing of a lot of our recyclables, at no cost or at the trucking cost.
Okay.
Which isn't, like I say, it's not always the case. If it's not good and clean, it's not, it's different. So we've been getting by, but it's a very tenuous situation in the recycling markets in general.
Right.
It's not, everyone's kind of waiting for something else to happen, so.
There's not gonna be any change in your budget, I know that, but my editorial is this. We are unbelievably fortunate to have a transfer station. I thank everybody who's ever had anything to do with that. But we should raise the cost of the permits, we should raise the cost of the bags just a little bit and get this retained earnings even higher. Because it doesn't take a genius to see that we're not gonna get anything for recycling, even though recycling is important. And then something needs to break, and this, if the 49,000 is the true number and still goes through, that's nothing. And then we're gonna have a
Right.
big increase, and people are gonna get mad, and they're gonna say, look what you're doing to my taxes. A minor increase is nothing, and we should do a little bit at a time so that we have a better cushion.
Right, and that's what, like I say, what Jim and Tim are mostly working on. It's not really my decision to raise it or whatever, but.
I'm being very vocal about it. I
Yeah.
already told them this.
Oh,
and they told
okay,
me to be
yes.
quiet. They said they were working on it, but I think we should do it now. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not gonna be long, I can tell you that. It's, like I said, the $49,000 sounds like a lot of money, but, we've been getting prices on some compactors and some of those things, and, just because of their age, not because they're, performing poorly, but it can go pretty quick.
Thank you. You guys do a great job.
It can go real quick. Thank you.
Snow and ice, how'd we end up on the
Let's see.
overage
We were-
on that?
I think we were over by roughly an average amount.
Roughly 90,000.
Well,
90,000?
less than average amount then.
Okay.
It was a lot more salt and a lot more labor on our end and less plowing.
Okay.
But we actually went out less times. I keep track of all the times we go out, obviously, and usually it's like 40, 45 times, and, well, sometimes some years were 38 or whatever, but it was like 28 or something like that. It was, less times that we actually went out, called out for snow and ice, so. Not counting little stuff we do during the day when we're here, actually everybody happened to go out and either treat everything or salt everything or plow, was less occasions, so that was helpful. Unfortunately, some of them cost us a lot of salt, some of those ones where it doesn't really bother the average person, and it's like an inch of slush on their driveway in the morning, and wipers wipe it off. Sometimes we were out all night because it was snow, freezing rain, sleet, then rain, and it didn't amount to any plowing, but to keep the roads good the whole night, it budget killers kind of, and like I say, it doesn't end up, everyone thinks that we spent a lot of money because we got a foot of snow, and that's kind of true, but sometimes we spend a lot for less if it drags on and refreezes, and we had a few more of those this year, so.
Yeah.
So, but it was a little down, so we're not gonna complain, that's no.
All right, I don't have any more questions for Matt, but
No,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And then the last one of the evening, we'll tackle the sewer department. And
Good evening.
good evening, thank you for coming in again.
Thank you.
And I know on our, just so we can kind of address that, the proposal for the sewer extension to the center of town from the village, we're gonna postpone that until the fall, address that in the fall.
Yes, that's correct. It was,
Okay.
if you want to use a brief statement on that, we should have educated the people. They need to be educated more in regards to the proposed design that was put forth to that. And they need to be educated more about the grinder pumps and things like that, which wasn't done. And I personally, you know, was a little embarrassed about that. It should have been more thought process should have been put into it. And I'd just like to say that I thought the Board of Selectmen did an outstanding job in regards to asking questions, and in the end, they made the right decision on.
So we'll take it up
postponing
again in the
to
fall, and that's.
That's correct.
We'll get it right, so that's good.
Can I ask, did you look at all into that Municipal Vulnerability Act? It's a grant that was put out recently. Some of these, like the planning for sewer and water,
Yeah.
could be eligible.
So we're going through the process.
Okay.
We've had some public meetings, we've had some internal working meetings. We hired Doreen DeFazio to run that process, so the final report should be coming out at some point in May. So,
So that help us in the fall. Anyway,
Yeah, so, I mean, it can be gray and you can get money for
That's great.
things like that, so that's why I was just curious.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay. Budget-wise, questions on any of this?
Our
Mine
budget is
generates
pretty.
its own money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this year was probably the best year I've ever had in all the years I've worked there. I mean, we've got 32 new connections, and we increased our budget. And our budget's based upon new users. And our budget increased, you know, just shy of $19,000, and that's, you know, for us, that's good. And
Right.
that's it's one of the best years I think of all the years I've been here, with guys for growth. And the future looks good also.
And how many new connections did you have?
32.
Okay. And you're proposing roughly half of that for next
No.
year for connection fees?
No, this is just, you know, our budget increase is just based upon the sewer users, our
Yeah.
billing. That's all. The connection fees and, well, that's, you know, I can give you the balance in what we have in our connection fee account. I mean, as we stand right now, with the articles from 2018, we have $953,287. That's what we have right now in our connection fee account.
Okay.
So you figure 32 connections, you get the $5,000 plus on them, so it's outstanding, really is.
Yep. No, I think it's in good shape.
Yeah.
Questions on?
No, he makes his own money.
Yes, come on up.
Say that this makes its own money. Makes its own.
William Bonin, 650 Central Turnpike. Mine is, is just more of a observation and a comment, is that I attended the meeting the other night, last week, selectman meeting, and contrary to what this gentleman said about himself, he had 3 or 4 supports with him from the town. I think they did a bang-up job of representing the town. You know, maybe you hold yourself to a higher standard, but from an outsider, from a town, from a public, I commend the selectmen and the sewer department, the firm that was doing the work and the analysis did it based on, like what you had mentioned earlier
Yep.
about the roads prioritized. At the time they did it, they were prioritizing the center of town and then looking
So
at.
I appreciate the comments, and I don't think you get any argument about
Yeah.
how we all feel.
But I think the
that's
public
honest.
needs to know that the
Right, but I
the
think I
public
wanna
needs to be
dis-
more informed. If we're going to put this off to the fall,
Yep.
the town needs, the public needs to be more informed. There's things like that came out that like, oh, well, no, we're gonna go down there, but just because we go by a house doesn't mean we can connect to it. And I think it's a perception that the town thinks that the people who live on there think that, oh, I've got sewer connection here, I can connect. That's my only thought here, is
I-
that
well, I
if we're
think-
going to do this in the fall, we got plenty of time to educate the public so they know what they're voting for and what the actual true cost is gonna be and what they're actually getting.
Agreed, yeah. And I think we'll address that in the fall, and
Right.
duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I don't have any further questions on the sewer budget. And like I said, the big issue we'll tackle in a few months.
We will.
So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you for
Thanks
coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, so, we will take now a motion to continue, until tomorrow night. And tomorrow night, we'll deal with the school department, the warrant articles, planning department, and the TIF.
Do you have the copy of the warrant?
We do, we have a copy of the warrant, we have the maps with that.
So motion to continue to Wednesday evening at 6:30?
So, second.
All those in favor? Aye. And we'll adjourn for the evening and take it up again tomorrow.